They said they don't want to jeopardize the investigation, but they did tell me they believe that shooter targeted the wrong house. By looking at all the debris out here, it's hard to imagine how this even happened. Police said the driver jumped the curb and plowed into this fence. After the show, he got on 410 traveling eastbound, and that's when he was killed in that ambush-style attack around 2:30 a.m. Well, Deb, those local school district leaders told me they support the bill and they support their teachers. To the police car, it has an infrared heat camera on it where you can see, where the officers can look into their computer and see people hiding in the dark. They said through the power of social media and all the tips they received, they were able to arrest and charge this man with kidnapping. But walk back just a few steps and neighbors told me the water was over 5 feet tall. That's actually taller than I am. When will we get our lake back? And they hope to get that answer tonight. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Vanessa Croix. Our top story at noon today, San Antonio police are on the hunt for a man accused of shooting his wife. Police need your help catching the suspect accused of shooting at a man at a Southside convenience store. Ken's 5 hungry man, Marvin Hurst, got a whiff of a brother and sister team making quality pizza for 31 years. And now plugging into a fully immersive experience, maybe a new way to get away from it all. Top story at noon today, 2 young girls shot on the east side overnight. San Antonio police say they are putting everything they have into finding a suspect. I do like Star Wars, and I was just telling Jared I had never heard of May the 4th be with you until like last year, so I guess I'm super out of the loop, but now I love it. I'm going to say it all day. Yeah. It's been his livelihood for decades.
I mean, the water's my life. It's all I've ever wanted to do.
Thomas Belton runs a ski school at Lake McQueenie near the dam.
I worked really hard to get to this point. It's kind of slipping away.
After the massive spillgate failure at Dunlap in May and Lakewood 3 years ago, the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority is now considering a move to drain the other 4 lakes, including McQueenie. The GBRA said the 90-year-old spill gates on the remaining dams are a hazard and a danger to people using the water for recreation.
Everybody has saw how Dunlap failed. That's our concern, is public safety #1.
But it's not just about recreation.
I'm sure with the show of hands in here, who makes a living off this lakes? There's a lot of people whose lives depend on the water being in the lake. I just want you to see faces today.
The Guadalupe County judge said that the $1 billion of appraised property values on these lakes would drop by half.
If the decision is made to lower the lakes, to drop the spill gates, it's going to be a shock to the system.
A shock to the people who work and thrive here.
A lot of money on this lake that goes to the businesses and economy around here won't exist if there's no lake, if there's no water.
The GBRA said they haven't made a decision as to whether or not they're going to drain these lakes or not. They said today was only to present those options to the board, but they couldn't even tell us when a decision will be made. They would only tell us they're not willing to put any more lives in danger if another spillgate should fail. Reporting on Lake McQueenie, Vanessa Croix, KENS 5 Eyewitness News. At the Catholic Charities Transition Center in Laredo, migrants receive clothing and other necessities before they leave for their next destination. To cities across the U.S. where they are required to report for their immigration hearings. More than 200 people are arriving here every day.
I see the perseverance and I see these people, they want a better life, so they're going to do whatever it's in their hands to, to give and provide that better life, not only for them, but for their children too.
But the amount of people coming here could soon change.
Thank you so much for being here.
Laredo city leaders, along with Mexican officials, announced a plan today called the Migrant Protection Protocol, better known as the Remain in Mexico policy.
There's a lot of cooperation. There's a willingness on Mexico's side to help.
Through the plan, migrants who are seeking asylum would now stay in Mexico while they wait for their immigration hearing. Officials said a tent will house the video conference immigration proceedings just feet away from the bridge in Laredo. The program started today with 10 asylum seekers, but city leaders are asking the feds for an alternative location for the tent structure.
When you have some sort of a military-like facility, personally I think it deters people from coming to our city, and we depend so heavily on the Mexican shopper and obviously Mexican commerce.
Officials say the shelter in Nuevo Laredo is at capacity right now at 3,000, and they're trying to find other options to create more space.
Alternatives by way of maybe work or going back to their countries of origin. So in other words, to make space
And until all the details are worked out, asylum-seeking migrants coming through Laredo will transition to their next destination from centers like Catholic Charities.
They're fleeing violence, they're fleeing poverty from their country of origins. But
Some advocacy groups have expressed concern about violent conditions for migrants across the border. But Mexican authorities said they're increasing security at immigration shelters here in Nuevo Laredo. Reporting on the U.S.-Mexico border, I'm Vanessa Croix. It's summertime in Texas, where people are beating the heat by hitting the water. And hiding in these lake waters, zebra mussels, little creatures with a big attitude.
They impact the environment, they'll get onto the rocks, they'll get everywhere.
And they're always looking for a free ride.
It just takes one person, one boat, a couple of zebra mussels attached to the boat, and then all of a sudden your lake is infected.
Zebra mussels rode into Canyon Lake 2 years ago.
It takes one or two, and then all of a sudden you could have trillions of them in your water source.
And this week they muscled their way into the water service company.
It's a great place for them to hang out because it's, there's all these nutrients that are flowing through the water,
Clogging the pumps and restricting water flow.
It's kind of like plaque in an artery, so it just keeps on growing up to where there's less and less water flowing through the pipe.
Crews have been working to clean them out.
And they grow exponentially. I mean, literally overnight.
And while they may be a pain in the pump,
The water quality is not impacted because the treatment plant actually removes organisms just like the zebra mussel anyway. So that's not impacted. It's just really the production.
these tiny terrors aren't a danger to humans.
They're not poisonous. They're just more of a nuisance. So we're just asking customers at this time, while we work through this issue, to at least restrict their usage to indoor use only.
Officials with the water service company said they've tackled their biggest hurdle, clearing those thousands of zebra mussels out of the middle pump. They said in the next few days they'll be inspecting the other 2 pumps and should be back up and running by early next week. Reporting from Canyon Lake, Vanessa Croix, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.